Good morning, Mr. Balderson. Good morning, sir. How are thee this morning? Do you still have a frog in your throat?
It's not as bad, but it's still there hiding.
Maybe you should kiss Mrs. Balderson a little bit more. Maybe she'll, cure the frog in the throat. Good morning, Mrs. Balderson.
Maybe kissing her gave me the frog.
It could have. You never know. We've got Howard in the chat. Good morning, Howard. Hail, everybody. We have Arya Moon over on the Spin City News channel. Good morning. James, Maiden, 6355.
Oh, what's up, James?
Good morning. Good evening. Wherever you may be. We have, guess who's doing the press briefing this morning? JD Vance.
Captain Mascara.
Captain Mascara. Good. Yeah, so we're just waiting. I'm just waiting for it to start. We've got a few minutes to kill here. And it's about the U.S. and Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and everything. So
the news we're all waiting on.
Yep, we are waiting.
Here, it'll take a couple months for everything to straighten back out, but if that.
And it's starting right now. Get it up on the screen for everybody.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Nothing to talk about. Slow news day here in Washington, D.C. So let me just say a couple of things off the bat. First of all, I think the president's peace plan in Iran is already bearing real fruits for the American people. Last night, 12.5 million barrels of oil went through the Strait of Hormuz. That is a high since the beginning of the conflict. Oil prices are down nearly at their level from the pre-war conflict. Gas prices dropped below $4 a gallon today for the first time since the conflict. And importantly, they're going to keep falling further given how low oil prices are. On the military side, the Iranians for the second night in a row did not shoot at any ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So far, they are honoring their end of the commitment. And on the blockade, CENTCOM has allowed north of a dozen ships to go through our naval blockade. And so we're also honoring our end of the early part of the agreement. On the military side, a couple of things that are still true and will be true whether the Iranians comply with the rest of the deal or not. Number one, their nuclear program has been completely destroyed. Their capacity for enrichment, the facilities at which they were using to develop enrichment and develop a potential nuclear weapon, those facilities are still destroyed. Their conventional military is still destroyed. Their capacity to threaten their neighbors is still largely gone. And now we see whether they are willing to comply with the next step of the president's peace plan. As you all know, the part of the peace plan, the part of this MOU that I think have been most misrepresented by certain parts of the media is the idea that the Iranians get all these benefits. You will hear things about $300 billion or $24 billion or this or that number of money or amount of money. And the simple fact is that the only way the Iranians get any of those resources, not a single penny, by the way, from the United States of America under any circumstances, but the only way that they would ever get any benefit of the bargain is if
Can you turn Vance up? It's coming in a little quiet, Spin.
So you really have a
Nope.
win-win situation.
That's as high as it goes.
America. If the Iranians don't change their behavior, their military and their nuclear program is still destroyed. If they do change their behavior, then they are going to have a transformative relationship with the Middle East, and the Middle East will have a transformative relationship with the people of Iran. That's a win for the American people and for the president of the United States, regardless of which option the Iranians ultimately choose. We obviously want them to choose the right option. The interesting thing about their system, and I think it's important for the American people to appreciate this point in particular, is that there are real divisions within their country about how exactly to proceed. And what we've seen over the last couple of months is that the pragmatists within the Iranian system, the people who really do want to transform their relationship with the Middle East and with the world, those people are winning the argument. The United States wants those people to win the argument. The United States wants to have a better relationship, but in order for that to happen, the Iranians have to perform. And if they don't perform, as we've said before, they don't get any of the benefits of the bargain. So what I'd ask all of you is just to report honestly that the United States isn't giving up a cent of money to Iran, and even the economic benefits, the sanctions relief and so forth that comes along with this bargain only happens if the Iranians perform. So with that, I want to say thanks to all of you. It's good to be with you this morning, and I'll kick it over to questions. Let's start right over here to the right.
Thank you, Vice President. I wanted to ask a follow-up on something you just mentioned. You talked about the possibility of the current Iranian leadership fundamentally changing their behavior. Do you think that the current Iranian leadership recognizes the leverage that the U.S. holds over itself economically and militarily enough to actually go forth with fundamentally changing their behavior over the long term and going about things differently?
So I certainly think they recognize the leverage that the United States has over them. We've seen that in a number of our conversations. We've seen that just in their behavior over the last couple of days. They certainly recognize that the United States has great leverage. Will that ultimately lead to a change in behavior? I don't know. I've seen skeptics of the deal. People say the Iranians will never change their behavior. Well, maybe that's true. And if so, they don't get any of the benefits of the bargain. But isn't it worth trying? Isn't it worth seeing whether this incredibly weakened position that the president of the United States has put the Iranians under, whether that motivates them to change their behavior, not just vis-a-vis the West, but vis-a-vis the Middle East? And one of the interesting things about this is, the technical details of this, we can, of course, get into. There are going to be any number of opinions about the negotiation, about where it's ultimately going to go. But I tend to think that you should trust the people who know the Iranians the best and who have the most to lose. What are the Gulf Arab states saying about this deal? What are they saying about this deal compared to the JCPOA in 2015? This is the Obama nuclear deal. Well, back then, they hated that deal. They felt like it empowered the Iranians to be bad actors across the region. And of course, that's exactly what happened. They were right about that. What are they saying about the president's peace deal? They're saying this is an amazingly transformative thing for the region because either way, we and the broader region win. Iran is weakened, their nuclear program destroyed, their economy in desperate straits. And if they change their behavior, big things are going to happen for Iran and for the world. If they don't, no skin off our backs. Either way, we win. And that's the way the president has set up this deal and this negotiation. Yep.
Just a quick housekeeping question. I think you answered in your topper, but did the 60-day period officially begin yesterday?
I would say the 60-day period officially started today. It was signed late, and it may have even been signed technically because of the time shift, I think it's signed technically today, Iran time. So yes, the deal started yesterday. We're going to start the 60-day clock today. Go ahead.
Can you help us understand President Trump's shift on his stance for Iran's ballistic missile program? Initially, it was a key objective to dismantle it. Yesterday, he said it would only be fair if they had some, if the countries around Iran also had some. So when and why did that change? And will the final agreement have any restrictions on these missiles?
So we destroyed a substantial number of their ballistic missiles and their ballistic missile launchers themselves. It's not just the bullets, but it's the actual gun. And that's what we were extremely effective at in destroying during the last 3 months of the campaign. All the president said yesterday is that, of course, countries don't give up the right of self-defense. Israel doesn't give up the right of self-defense if Hezbollah fires rockets or drones at Israel. The Iranians don't give up the right of self-defense in their country. But we do expect that as part of the final deal, they are not going to be able to build the kind of missiles that can broadly threaten the entire world. And that's what the President of the United States said yesterday. And look, I mean, it's very simple. You can't tell a country, whether Israel or Iran, they're not allowed to have any self-defense. That's not what the president has asked. That's not what the president has requested. But as part of the final deal, what we want to see is Iran not funding regional instability, funding regional terrorism, and of course, trying to rebuild their nuclear weapons program. That's the main thing. The nuclear weapons program is destroyed. It is gone. If the Iranians decided tomorrow to build
we've heard that story a time or two
do that
before.
We're trying
Yes,
to
we
ensure that
have.
they don't rebuild
Yes,
that
we have.
capacity, not just a year from now, 2 years from now, but many, many years from now. So
I do believe that Trump yesterday was saying that, oh, the only missiles they have left are underground. If they're underground, they can't even access them. Trump wasn't even saying the shit this dude's saying.
Well, according
and I looked it up. This part is hilarious to me when they're
Sure.
talking shit, when they're talking dumb shit about Iran's economy. Guess how much Iran is in debt?
how much?
$255 billion. That is their national debt. $255 billion.
Wow.
That puts their debt ratio at 37.3%. Guess what the United States is in debt?
How much?
$37.6 trillion. That puts our debt to GDP at 122%, meaning we are making less money than what we are automatically going into debt all the fucking time. And they're talking shit about their economy, who is 255 billion. Remind me again how many dollars they're supposed to get in this deal.
Oh, what
Was
did
it about
Gibbs say?
320?
Yeah, about 320.
330. Their
Yeah.
entire national debt is 255.
Jesus. It's a lot.
It's tiny compared to ours.
Well, yeah.
Ours is 40 trillion. Theirs is theirs is still in the billions. It's not even hit a trillion yet. And we're getting ready to hand them enough money to pay off their national debt and still have $70 billion left over. And we're talking shit about their economy. This is like it's absolutely insane that our politicians do not at all get a grip on the national debt that we have. We literally are paying $1 trillion a year in interest alone on our debt. That's fucking 3 times what their national debt is. That's just our interest payment.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, China has purchased most of our debt, Howard. They do. They are the largest shareholder of our debt. Yeah, we are so in debt to our eyeballs that any politician would ever talk about anybody else's economy. I don't know that there's another economy like. And then this is something I found like when Christy and I started dating, because she had some friends that were wealthier. And I'm like, and they would look down their nose at me. Well, all of them have lost their houses and shit because they were upside down in debt, didn't own nothing. And yeah, my house isn't as nice as that house they had on loan, but fucking I own it. So they don't understand that when you're in the red, that's bad. When you're in the black, that's not.
Right. I mean, you could, if something were to ever happen, you could levy your house if you needed to. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, I would never advocate to levy your sanctum, but I mean,
Right.
it's an
But still,
option.
it's a possibility, and it's an
Sure.
asset that I own, and they don't own any assets, and they don't understand the difference. Apparently, we are, and not only are we $40 trillion in debt, we have over the next, I think it's 8 years, to another $200 trillion in debt that's already promised and incoming that we don't have the income to cover.
Yeah, and here's the thing. All countries have debt.
Not all.
But I never realized.
um,
I never.
well, it's
yeah.
kind of true. Like there are exceptions. There's like Norway. Norway actually makes way more money than what their national debt is. So the only reason that they have a national debt is because the interest loan on their national debt is so low, they're making more off of their investment. So they could just pay the debt off, but they're like, why would we? We're making more off the money that we have. So they're at a net positive. So when they say national debt on some of these countries, what it is that they just aren't paying the debt off because the debt's at such a low interest rate that they're using their money for investments.
Wow, that's crazy. That's just easy.
Well, it's not us. We're in debt to our fucking eyeballs, and we ain't got it. And we ain't got it. When they did their inventory of the treasury last year, they said we have something like fucking 8 trillion or something in assets and income, and we're 40 trillion in debt. Like, and the debt's just rising and rising. That's our economy is fucked.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But continue on with Captain Mascara.
For Captain Mascara. Okay, I'll do that.
Sponsor of terrorism having a nuclear weapon.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You were just saying that you're hoping this deal would prevent Iran in the future from getting a nuclear weapon. But from what's been put out there of the MOU, I'm curious, how does the MOU reflect that in the future Iran will not, in fact, get a nuclear weapon? What's stopping them from down the road, to your point, rebuilding and restarting from where we were pre the war?
Well, number one, they would have to get a lot of money in order to rebuild the nuclear program. You're talking about billions and billions of nuclear infrastructure that the United States destroyed. In order for them to rebuild that program, they would have to get a lot of money. And we have them in an economic chokehold right now that we're not going to release until they.
They'd have to get a lot of money, like what, 320 billion? Does that cover
Something
it?
like that? Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That would mean the destruction.
Jesus Christ!
Stockpile. All of these things are the sorts of steps you're going to take if you're serious about ending your nuclear weapons program. And that, again, is why I go back to this fundamental trade that's built into the deal. They need money to do anything. Their economy is in absolute dire straits. But in order for them to get any integration into the world economy, they're going to have to show us and verify for us that they are changing their behavior. And that's why the deal is set up in the way that it is. Go ahead.
President Trump said yesterday that he was going to blame you if the talks with Iran go sideways. Are you worried that he's going to make you the fall guy?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the president was joking, but as he often does. But no, I think, look, the entire team has worked very well on this, and we've got this thing to a very good place for the American people. Now, I have seen some progressive criticisms of me personally saying, what experience does the vice president of the United States have with hostile, high-stakes negotiations? And I would point those progressive critics to the fact that just 2 days ago, I spent over an hour on The View. So I actually have great experience in very hostile negotiations. And I've used that. I mean, look, Joy Behar is way tougher than the Iranians. And she and I are best friends now. So we're going to get to a good place here. We're going to get to a good place. We're already at a good place. It's just a question of whether we can really get the icing on the top of fundamentally.
It was supposed to be funny.
Relationship with the world.
It was supposed to be funny.
How soon?
So I looked it up, so I got the correct term. We have 200 trillion in unfunded liabilities of the U.S. federal government, which are distinct and reported separately from the national debt.
The MOU and how that.
Wait a minute. Read that again.
It's a little word game they play. It's an estimated unfunded liabilities of the U.S. federal government, which are distinct from the reported national debt. So there's another 200 trillion in debt that they're just keep
bills we just stuffed
in
back
bills
the
that we just have that just haven't quite come due yet. But it's when they call it unfunded, that means we
Right.
don't have the money for it.
It's not in the
So
budget.
there's another, it's not in the budget. So there's another 200 trillion fucking dollars in debt hanging out there above our heads. On top of the 40 that we're already they're already admitting to, but they call it unfunded liabilities.
It's like hiding a bill from your wife for the tool you hope she doesn't find out you bought.
Yeah.
Oh,
My Snap-on bill, I'm gonna hide that.
Yeah, they say that most of the unfunded liabilities are from Social Security, Medicare, and tax revenues. Medicaid, there's already been 48.3. There's a $48.3 trillion shortfall in the Medicaid promises. There's a $24.9 trillion shortfall in Social Security promises, which is money that they stole from us because Social Security doesn't come out of taxes. Social Security is its own separate tax that goes into a fund that's supposed to then gain interest and pays us when we get old. Fucking
sure.
well, they've been stealing money out of that account. This is part of why this is added into here to the tune of $24.9 trillion. Just for the federal, state, and local pensions, they're $13.4 trillion in shortfall. Meaning
That
we
is
don't
a
have
lot of fucking money.
dude, we don't have the money to pay any of these bills, and this dumb motherfucker is up there going, Iran's economy's in a shambles.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the Lebanon component, this is about regional peace, right? This is about regional peace. And what that means is we expect Hezbollah is not going to be firing rockets and firing. We also expect that the Israelis are not going to be going wild in Lebanon, right? Both sides have to honor their end of the deal. Now, as you guys know, sometimes these ceasefires are a little messy. The President of the United States said this a couple of weeks ago, that a ceasefire in that region of the world just means they're shooting a little bit less at each other than they were before. What you've seen is radical progress in Lebanon, less shooting, less firing, but you're still going to have these little
Rockefeller got a hold of Norwegian oil a long time ago.
diplomatic process. Secretary Rubio's been sort of the person on point. It's actually worked out extraordinarily well because we do have substantially less shooting, but it's going to be something we have to manage. And eventually what we want to see is the Lebanese government, the elected representatives of the people of Lebanon, who are able to police southern Lebanon so that Hezbollah is not taking over the country. The Israelis are not threatened.
So this is the public debut of the new air.
Southern Lebanon or Beirut either.
The fuck was that?
The Iranian oil. Look, one of the interesting things that you've seen is that the Iranians have been completely unable to sell oil, not because of sanctions, but because of the blockade. Fundamentally, the thing that we have done here, the original, what we give, what they give, is that we said we're going to lift the blockade. We're going to allow you to sell some of your oil, and they're going to open the Strait of Hormuz. We see that process starting to work already. It's going to take a little time before it picks up fully. That's where we are today.
I read that it's going to take 2 months to clear the backlog of ships that are already waiting to go through.
That's well, I mean,
well, because they got to sweep the mines out and all that kind of shit. So it's going to take about 2 months to get the flow back to where it should be.
Right. Which will in turn drop the gas prices too.
Oh, dude, releasing Israel into the market, or not Israel, Iran into the market is going to cut the gas prices in half. It always does historically, because now we've got competition. Every time that they sanction and blockade Iran, the oil prices double historically. It's just how it works.
The final negotiation is going to set the terms of what comes afterwards, right? You said I think that it's the Omanis and the Iranians, but it's actually the MOU contemplates that the Omanis, the Iranians, and the Gulf Coast Coalition together will figure out security framework.
But their debt's because they haven't been able to sell it, and we've been stealing their money.
But that's not about
like a chunk of that money that's getting given to them is their own money being released that we've been holding.
It's frankly not what
we stole from the banks. We went and just took it.
So what we're going to do, of course, working with our allies in the region, is to ensure that that is reflected in the final deal. And if that's not reflected in the final deal, there's not going to be a final deal. And that is, I keep coming back to this fundamental structural point of this negotiation, which is that we have all the cards. If the Iranians want the benefits of the bargain, they have to give us the things that are necessary to get those benefits. Go ahead. Okay, both you guys. There's one in the white and then one in orange, I think. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe I'm colorblind. It looks more orange to me. I don't want to have a debate about that. Orange, pinkish. You go first, and then in front of you can go second.
Thank you, Mr. President. How does the points about
He is so much better received by the press than Trump.
sanctions, especially from the
Well, look at him. He's got a smile. He's coming off, very affable. Yeah. He's got the makeup on.
To James Braid, our head of OLA, we do plan to brief Congress very soon. I believe that they got the formal copy of the signed document this morning. And if not, they're going to.
He's not orange. They really hate the color orange.
I believe right now the House is out of session, the Senate is in session, though maybe I've reversed that. But we're going to ensure that the team briefs Congress, of course, answers their questions. We've been doing that informally, of course, talking to a number of
Definitely the eyeliner.
We'll keep on doing that, and we'll have a formal briefing. I won't say exactly what that will be, because it a little bit about sessions. Your point about the sanctions is I'll go back to what I said earlier, which is really the choke point on Iranian oil was never the sanctions. We didn't see that as a major concession to the Iranians. Frankly, the Iranians didn't see that as a concession to them, because what prevented them from selling oil was not the sanctions. They were selling plenty of oil without any discount because the sanctions were just fundamentally ineffective at that point. What the sanctions did do is move the Iranian financial system to sort of the shadow banking system. So by lifting the blockade, that's the significant thing that has changed. And by lifting the sanctions, we're actually going to be able to see a little bit where their financial system actually sends money and receives money. That's a real benefit to the American people. And that's really the only thing that has changed by the change in sanctions. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I forgot that part of the question. No, we don't think so. We actually have an opinion from OLC we feel quite confident about that. Congress does. There are certain things that require congressional approval. There are certain things that don't require congressional approval. We feel quite confident that we can temporarily lift those sanctions.
I know that the American people during the last election, one of the key points that I heard from American people is they want to know how Iran is moving their money around and what they're doing. I heard it from everybody.
And how exactly?
I'd like to know that as well, because if they
I was being a smart.
No,
what Iran does with their money.
No, I know, but
when he said specifically, this is good for the American people, how the fuck is that good for us? What do we give a shit what Iran's doing with their money? What's good for the American people is knowing that we can go to the gas station and afford to fucking fill our car, go to the grocery store and afford to fucking buy the groceries. That's what's good for the American people. I don't care where Iran's spending its fucking money.
Well, I guess. I mean, I would like to know, because that's how they're funding all of this, other than other nations helping them. I mean, somebody's got to be paying the bill somewhere. That's what I'm saying.
They have their own money. That's why they're only $250 billion in debt, and we're $40 trillion in debt. Somebody's done better with their money.
Well, that, and
I mean, I hate to inform Captain Mascara, but when one's here and one's, oh, you can't see my other hand, that's our debt. It's the fuck down there.
That's true. Howard, make orange great again.
Yeah, they really must hate orange, because they receive Vance much better than they receive Trump. They must hate orange real bad.
They must. Who knows?
I agree with Mooney. It's their money. Who cares? They don't monitor our money.
The reaction to the United States, if you're talking about perhaps a humongous scale. Are we waiting for that attack? I mean, what exactly is a scale here?
Sorry, you said what exactly is a scale?
Like, what type of attack would it take to actually get a reaction from the United States to say, okay, now we're actually going to start dropping bombs on
on Iran for having bad behavior.
Well, we don't want any scale of any attack. Any attack, whatever its scale, is unacceptable under this agreement. Now, you asked the question saying that oil money was flowing to Hezbollah.
What's up, Andrew?
Signed, and it's one of the reasons why we are actually engaged in this process is to ensure that no money is flowing to Hezbollah. So it's interesting where people will say that the MOU is bad because the MOU produces.
Oh, hey, what's up, Dragon Fist, Andrew? What's up, pimp?
That's not a reflection on the MOU. That's a reflection of why we need the MOU to ensure that we have the regional peace and stability that we need. Now, what I would say to some of the critics of the deal that I've heard that will say, well, Iran's going to get all this benefit. I'll repeat what I've said, and I'm probably going to have to repeat it a number of times, is what is the benefit that the Iranians get that they didn't have before? And the answer is nothing. They don't get anything unless they change their behavior. If they change their behavior,
Ayo, Andrew.
That's going to transform the Middle East for a generation. If they don't change their behavior, they don't get the benefit of the bargain. And I think I got to be honest. I think fundamentally, this idea that, and it's a misrepresentation of the MOU, this idea that the Iranians get all these benefits before the deal is actually consummated, the idea that they get benefits before they change their behavior is fundamentally a talking point that is issued by people who want the conflict to continue indefinitely, despite the fact that that's not good for the American people and it's not good for the region. Way in the back. All the way back in the red.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. Red here, you mean? Are you red?
We'll do, okay, sorry.
Thank you. I'm wearing bright red.
So many
today.
people are wearing red. You can go first. Kara, right?
Thank you, Kara.
Okay,
Thank
and then
you.
next after
Okay,
that.
great. Could you highlight the major differences between this deal and President Obama's deal in 2015 and why the administration believes that this deal is superior? And second, Mr. Vice President, President Trump has been vocal lately about his disapproval for Bibi Netanyahu's attacks on Lebanon. Has the administration spoken to Bibi Netanyahu directly about the president's concerns recently, and what is the feedback from Israel?
Yeah, so we speak to Bibi or speak to somebody in the Israeli government, just as we speak to the Gulf Coast Coalition, our regional partners, pretty much every day, at least at some high level of our government. Look, the president's been very clear. He does not withdraw from Israel. No one could withdraw from another country the right of self-defense. Israel has the right to defend itself. But fundamentally, the Israelis, just like everybody else, have to respect this peace process that is fundamentally good for them and good for the entire region. What the president has grown frustrated sometimes is that we seem to be right on the cusp of a major breakthrough in the agreement. And then all of a sudden, there's a major explosion that goes off in a civilian population center in Beirut. And a lot of people who have nothing to do with Hezbollah lose their lives. That's not acceptable. That's the sort of thing that we've asked for closer coordination so that we ensure it doesn't happen. And our message to the Israelis, just as our message to everybody else, is fundamentally, we want this peace process to be good for you. We do not want Hezbollah attacking Israel. But in order to ensure that that happens, we have got to actually build the kind of regional framework that can cut off the money to Hezbollah, cut off Iranian support for Hezbollah, and also ensure that Lebanon's territorial sovereignty is respected by all parties. And the difference between the two agreements. So first of all, the two big differences are not even in the substance of the deal itself, but something I said earlier are, number one, the Gulf Coast Coalition loves this deal because they think that it makes Iran weaker. They hated the Obama deal because they thought that it made Iran stronger. They know more about this and they have more to lose than anybody, including the United States of America. So I trust their judgment. The second thing is where the deal came from. You have to remember, in 2015, Iran had built a sophisticated nuclear weapons program with a nuclear weapons stockpile. So the perspective that we came at as the United States was, you already have a really nice nuclear program. We're going to bribe you with American money in order to stop it. Our perspective and where we're coming at it is, we already destroyed your nuclear program. And so if you promise and show verifiable pathways to not rebuild it, then we're willing to give you some sanctions relief and things like that. So it's a fundamentally different perspective. Now, there are all these substantive differences as well. The Obama nuclear deal allowed enrichment. Ours will not. The Obama deal allowed the accumulation of stockpiled weapons-grade material. Ours is actually leading to the destruction of that stockpile of enriched material. So there are many differences. The Obama deal gave them over $1 billion of American money. This deal gives them $0 of American money. So a lot of
I like how he changed the term from weapons grade to enriched. That was slipping weapons grade in there because they never reached weapons grade enrichment.
No, sorry. I said the other, all the way in the back. Thank you.
Margaret with the Daily Wire. The president has said that if Iran doesn't behave themselves, we're going to resume military action. So what is the red line for what Iran can do before they cross that red line and we do resume military action?
Well, it's going to be a holistic approach where we look at their behavior. Are they funding terrorism? Are they leading to attacks of other people? Are they trying to get centrifuges to redevelop their nuclear weapons program? There are all these questions that we're going to ask about whether they've actually changed their behavior. Do they allow the inspectors in as they have promised that they would do, or do they refuse to allow those inspectors in? A whole host of things we're going to see. We're working towards a very successful resolution of this process. But again, it takes two to tango. And what the president's just saying is that we maintain economic, diplomatic, and military leverage that nobody else in the world has. So if the Iranians want to change, great. We're going to help them. If they don't change, we still got all the cards. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, sorry. In the blue jacket. Yep.
This one right here, Mr. Vice President.
That's a Navy jacket. Should we have a debate about the difference between blue and Navy? Not that guy, because you give a speech whenever you ask a question. I'm going to give her an opportunity. Hold on. Guys, you're speaking over the person who's asking the question.
There's been a lot of frustrations with Americans, particularly about the gas prices. You touted the fact that they're coming down. The president has gone on Truth Social touting this. But when should they expect to see gas reach that $3 threshold?
Well, I'm not an economist, and I think even the economists would get this wrong. But the fact that you've seen gas come down about 65 cents a gallon on the national average, and the fact that you see oil prices that are basically close to where they were at the very beginning of the conflict, I think you're going to see a substantial reduction in gas prices. I'm not going to predict the exact price. If I was able to do that, I might be in a different business than politics. But we do think you're going to see significant relief at the pump on top of what we've already seen.
Thank you, Mr. President. You keep saying that Iran will only reap economic rewards if they comply and change their behavior. But under this deal, they are being allowed now to sell their oil freely. Again, how is that not a financial benefit? And they're being allowed to do that without making any new concrete nuclear commitments. So can you explain how is that not lopsided?
Well, first of all, they've made very concrete nuclear commitments. They have committed to the destruction of the highly enriched stockpile that they have in their possession. But number two, all we've done is lift the blockade in the Straits of Hormuz. We basically returned it to where it was before the conflict. The blockade is off. We put that in after the conflict started. The straits are now open. That's not a new benefit to the Iranians. They were selling oil for many, many years, well before we ever put the blockade. We opposed that blockade. They stopped selling oil, and now we've lifted the blockade in order to promote the free flow of energy across the world. Go ahead.
A U.S. official described having secured some of these quote-unquote gentlemen's agreements with Iran on certain aspects of the negotiation. So when it comes to highly enriched uranium, can you walk us through what's been secured even in these kind of gentlemen's agreements on how exactly they're going to get rid of the stockpile? Are there agreements on low-grade enrichment? How long is the moratorium on enriching uranium for Iran? And are any of these gentlemen's agreements written down anywhere?
So some of them are written down, but fundamentally, whether they're written down or spoken, this is why we structured the deal that we did, because we don't trust words. We trust action and we trust conduct. And so we're going to reward conduct, and we're not going to reward any words, whether they're written on a sheet of paper or not. There's a lot of discussion, the MOU, the gentleman's agreements, the final deal. Words don't matter, ladies and gentlemen. We're about verification. And so what we're going to do is to say, if they do the things that they have promised to do, they have promised not to enrich. They have promised that they would allow inspectors in to destroy that highly enriched stockpile. And then, of course, it's not usable anymore. You take it somewhere else. They promised a number of things. And that's why the deal contemplates a number of benefits if they do those things. But it doesn't do anything if they don't actually meet those promises. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If they don't follow through with their commitment, will the U.S. go back to imposing sanctions and the blockade? Or does Iran get to keep some of the concessions that it has already secured?
Well, first of all, the sanctions are still on, with the exception of the oil sanctions, which I talked about were no longer effective. The purpose of the oil sanctions is to drive down how much Iran is charging for a price for a barrel of oil.
Andrew, it mostly appears that the big thing, only thing that we gained in it is the Obama deal allowed enrichment up to like 60 or 80%. And from what he's saying, but he's being real unclear about it, that they're just not going to be able to do enrichment, but legally they can do enrichment for power plants and things like that. So what we're talking about is level of enrichment, and he's not been real specific about it.
Then of course those sanctions are going to come back on. And that's why it's really kind of like a dial. As they dial up their good behavior, we can dial up the economic relief. If they dial down their good behavior, we can turn it off. It's the good thing about having the leverage, and it's a good thing about being the United States of America, where we just fundamentally have so much influence in the world financial system. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Leader Thune said it's unrealistic to get the Save America Act passed by attaching it to FISA, which is what the president's looking for. Do you believe this is possible?
Well, why don't we try? Why don't we try and at least force people to vote against it? One of the things that sometimes frustrates me about the legislative process is that people will go into it saying this isn't possible, therefore we're not even going to try. Well,
yeah, I asked Spin to
possible
if he could turn the audio up, and he said this is the highest it'll go.
How many American senators know that the American people love the Save America Act because they believe in voter ID? But how many of those same senators don't want to vote for it because they know that the radical elements within their own party would punish them for it? Let people go on the record and actually answer to the American people, which is why I think we should do exactly as the president said. Rob.
He is not as eloquent as Obama, but he is a slick talking son of a bitch. He can say some real crazy shit and make it sound nice. Yeah, they're getting way more money, and they're going to be able to sell their oil on the open market. So this is really a beneficial deal for Iran. And then Trump yesterday even said that they've got missiles and uranium underground. He's like, it's underground. They can't even get it up. Like, which makes no sense.
Last night. Is what's going on behind the scenes as chaotic as your public messaging?
Well, I don't think our public messaging has been chaotic. I think dealing with a fractured Iranian system where communication isn't great is just sometimes something that we don't fully appreciate or we don't fully understand. What really happened here is that we did sign the MOU on Sunday. That locked into the terms of the deal. What the Iranians came to us and said is, we'd like not to release the text until Friday. I don't really understand that. I wanted to get the text out immediately, but in order to be accommodating to them, we said, sure, okay, we'll wait until Friday. And then what happened over Monday, Tuesday, the president was in G7, maybe foreign leaders were talking to the Iranians and encouraging them to do that. We were definitely saying to them, we understand your desire not to have the text out until Friday, but we live in a democratic system. The American people want to see the text of this deal. We would certainly like to get it out as soon as possible. And so they came up with having their president sign it, our president sign it, and then just releasing the text as a signed document immediately at that point.
Yeah, the other thing, Andrew, that we went through earlier is they're trying to claim Iran is broke. But when we looked at Iran's national debt, it's only $255 billion. Ours is $40 trillion with another $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities that they don't count toward the debt.
What was going on here? But the text is out there now. We said that we would be transparent about it. But the reason why it went back and forth a little bit about when exactly the text would be released is just we were trying to show good faith to the Iranians who, for reasons I have no idea, cared a lot about how the text itself was rolled out. Blue tie there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. As you know, because you were involved in this process, the MOU allows for Iran to sell its oil right away, which means that Iran can take.
Yeah, they're getting about $70 billion more than their entire national debt just from this.
How is this not essentially giving a lifeline to Iran economically? And what's to prevent Iran from using all of that money, all of those millions of dollars, to prop up its proxies in the region?
Well, the number one thing is that we actually see where the money moves now because of what we've done with the financial sanctions. We actually know where the money is going to move. And so we have great confidence that we're going to be able to see if they try to fund terrorist organizations, we're going to be able to see that. But you said that millions of dollars is a lifeline. Right now, the Iranian nation is a nation of 94 million people. Their economy is in a free fall. They have sky high inflation, and fundamentally, about $1 trillion of damage to their industrial base was caused over the last 3 months. The idea that selling a few $1,000,000 worth of barrels of, or a few $1,000,000 worth of oil is going to fundamentally transform the Iranian economy, that's just not true. We thought that it would be good in order to lift the blockade and open the Straits of Hormuz to allow the free flow of energy. We felt that it was reasonable that if we're going to allow everybody else to sell their energy during this period of negotiation, we would allow everyone to sell their energy. That's all we're doing. We can slap everything right back on if the Iranians don't make the deal that we expect. Yeah. Either one. Yeah, no, yeah. Guys, how about both of you? Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, so President Trump said we'll finish one, talking about Iran, and he said then Cuba is next. Is Cuba next? And also on Colombia, Mr. Vice President, he has mentioned Colombia 3 times this week. Why is it so important, the election day in Colombia for President Trump?
You guys have to ask Marco about Cuba. That's not. Look, our view, go ahead in a second, but let me just actually answer this guy's question. Fundamentally, in Cuba, it is a system that hasn't worked. They can't make any money. Their economy is frankly probably in worse shape than the Iranian economy. It's 90 miles from our shore, so every time that there's a crisis, you end up having desperate refugees or desperate, people who can't feed their families trying to flood into our country. We want the people of Cuba to be happy and successful. We're actually talking to the Cuban government right now about how they could change their ways to change that. We're going to see what they do, and obviously, if they do one thing, we're going to do something. If they make smart decisions, we're going to have a much better relationship with that island. Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President. Mr. Vice President, thank you so much. I know that you are still not sure if you are going to run for president in 2028, but if you do not, is there anyone in particular that you would want to see run?
What's your name?
Stephen Kapuska. Sir.
I want Stephen Kapuska to run for president in 2028. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice President Vance. I've got 2 questions. Could you describe?
Like the guy can't even answer the most simple questions. That's even a silly question. That's hilarious.
Also, if you could drill down.
He is a wordsmith.
There's been a lot of focus on oil sanctions, but on frozen funds, what's your understanding of how much money is frozen? How much of that is in the U.S.? And a senior administration official briefed some of us reporters earlier this week that there might be small antes, is what he said, like small releases of money to build trust with the Iranians early on. Can you describe that whole situation?
So on the frozen funds, the amount of money, I honestly don't know. I've heard numbers north of $100 billion. I've actually heard numbers north of $200 billion. Most of it is not in United States accounts. Most of it's either in the Gulf or in Europe or somewhere else. But I don't know the exact amount of money. It's a lot. It's one of the reasons why we've had such a successful chokehold on the Iranian economy, though by not even close to the main reason. We're not releasing a single dollar of that money until the Iranians perform. And there are a number of ways they could perform. For example, let's say they actually take meaningful steps, and this could happen very quickly, to destroy that stockpile of enriched material, then we're going to have a conversation about it. But they have to perform. I've seen some reports, I don't know where this came from, that the Qataris had released billions of dollars in Iranian assets. That's just not true. It would be impossible for the Qataris to do that without our buy-in, and certainly without us seeing it. So a lot of this reporting is just fundamentally wrong. They don't get a dollar of unfrozen assets, their money, not our money, but they don't get a dollar of unfrozen assets until they actually perform under the deal. You asked about Switzerland. Our plan is to go to Switzerland. I don't know exactly when. The way that we're setting up this technical negotiation is that obviously you're going to have the political leadership involved. Excuse me. We're going to have people on the ground actually driving the technical talks, the nuclear talks. How do you destroy this highly enriched uranium? All that stuff that you really just have to get into the nitty gritty on. So, I plan to go to Switzerland. Exactly when, we think these technical negotiations are going to start sometime this weekend. That's still the plan, but that could change because it's not an easy country, Iran, to get out of. And so we're trying to figure out exactly when that's going to happen. I suspect this weekend, but I'm not sure. I may, it just depends on exactly when the Iranians can get there. We're trying to figure that out as we speak. But again, I suspect it will happen this weekend. We're going to find out exactly whenever the coming days. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. Just two questions for you. To follow up on an earlier question, Secretary Rubio said in March that the goal of this war was to, quote, to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles. You just said earlier that the military program is destroyed. U.S. intelligence estimates that Iran still retains roughly 70% of its pre-war ballistic and cruise missile stockpile.
I've also seen that report.
And in that part of the original mission. And then just
70%.
Are you leading the U.S. team moving forward in terms of the negotiations? How involved will you be?
Yeah, so I'm certainly planning to lead the U.S. negotiating team. But on the first question, you talked about an intelligence report that was anonymously leaked to a reporter that was not with context and that frankly is not accurate. What has changed about the Iranian ballistics missile program is it matters much less the number of missiles they have, the number of bullets. What matters much more is the number of launchers they have, and importantly, the teams on the ground that have the capacity to launch those missiles. Their ability to launch missiles has been substantially degraded. Is it zero? No, but it's substantially degraded. And in that sense, we haven't abandoned the mission. We've accomplished that particular part of the mission. If you look at the Gulf Arab allies, and obviously the Israelis who faced a lot, the two of them together faced a brunt of these missile attacks. Each of them feels substantially safer today from the Iranian missile threat than they did before. Obviously, that is something that we would like to continue.
Yeah, they've said that they had no ability to fight for the last 3 months, and they just keep, like Andrew's saying in the chat, they just keep attacking and bombing, but apparently can't fight. And I read the report where it said they had 70% of their missiles still.
No, guys. Yeah.
Leo's reaction to the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding.
I have it. What did he say?
All right, okay. I'll give you the
The
short
MOU
version. Sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. He said.
Go ahead. After you.
I'll give you the short version. All right. He says he welcomes the agreement between the U.S. and Iran. He says it hopes it will help strengthen mutual trust, security, and stability in the Middle East. And he also hopes that it's truly a solution to the war and that the war is really over. What do you say to the Pope, sir?
My response to that is praise Jesus. I'm glad that the Pope has positive things to say about our MOU. I think that the Pope is fundamentally accurate and it's going to be good for the entire world, but we got to keep working at it to make sure that the Iranians honor the commitments that they've made. And then yes, you in front. Go ahead. Guys, with the thing is, there's so many people in here. I could say the red tie, and then 9 of you start shouting at us. The burgundy tie.
The MOU calls for
There we go, that guy.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. The MOU calls for a U.S. troop withdrawal from the Gulf region tied to the final deal. Can you say whether the drawdown will affect U.S. forces past Iraq and Syria, where American troops currently help protect Kurdish?
Yeah, this whole non-war has been an embarrassment for the United States, and the deal is an embarrassment.
Assuming that the Iranians
this is all bad.
That they take real substantial conduct towards this peace agreement. What we're saying is that we will withdraw troops to the pre-conflict level, meaning we're not going to keep a couple of extra aircraft carrier groups over there. The Iranians don't want that. Frankly, we don't want that either. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's not going to be funding that $300 billion fund. Who exactly is funding that? Is it private companies? And I also noticed that your voice is hoarse. Are you sick? Have you been using your voice a lot?
Well, I've been on a bit of a book tour the past couple of days, but I can't promote my book here in the White House press briefing room. I had a cold about a week ago. That and talking a lot about this deal and talking a lot about the book, I'm definitely a little bit hoarse. But you asked, your first question was about
is funding that $300 billion.
Oh, I see. So what's interesting about this is there is a great desire from the Arab world and from outside the Arab world to actually get involved in Iran if they behave properly. So for example, let's say the United Arab Emirates, who've been a great ally over the last, not just few months, but over the last many years, let's say that they would like to invest in building a power plant. That actually is impossible right now because of the way that US sanctions work. And so what we're saying is that if you behave and if the Emiratis themselves want to build a power plant, then we will do the sanctions relief necessary to make that possible. The good thing about that is that it actually creates integration, which is leverage. A world where the Gulf Coast Coalition has greater leverage into the Iranian economy is a world where the Iranians are going to be heavily prevented from misbehaving. So it's a lot of the Gulf Coast Coalition. Again, they see that Iran is weakened. They see there's an opportunity to build a new relationship there. And they're saying if they behave, and if the United States is willing to allow this to happen, then absolutely we want to change our relationship with Iran. No, well, I mean, I assume that in the United Arab Emirates there would be private money and so forth that would be part of this. But again, this is so far in advance because it assumes a transformation in Iranian behavior. Sure.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. As you know, the Iranian-backed groups in the region were involved in this war, and they damaged U.S. facilities and your allies as well. How does this agreement affect Iran-backed groups across the region, especially the Iranian-backed groups in Iraq? And my second question, this agreement requires Iran to stop attacking the Kurdish opposition in Kurdistan region, which they did 2 days ago.
So what this agreement does fundamentally is it requires Iran to behave like a normal country. And if it doesn't, as so many people think that it never will, then it doesn't get any of the economic benefits. And if they do, then that's a great thing for everybody. It's a great thing for the Kurds. It's a great thing for anybody who has been under the brunt or under the threat of Iranian-funded terrorist organizations. The expectation is that Iran will stop that. And if they don't get the benefits of the bargain. John.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Many of the colleagues that you served with in the U.S. Senate and Republican Conference have criticized this deal over the last 24 hours. What is your message, Mr. Vice President, back to them?
So I guess I would say to anybody, any of the critics, is number one, have a little bit of faith in the President of the United States. The idea that he is going to strike a deal that's been bad for the American people, it's preposterous. He is the person who's had the courage to fundamentally transform our relationship.
It's not preposterous.
In the last year and a half.
This is a horrible deal. This is backing out with our tail between our legs, something fierce.
We still have every single tool and point of leverage that we have today. That'd be message number one, is have a little faith in the president's ability, given that he's got us this far, to take us the final step. The second thing that I would say is so many of what I've read or heard that people believe about this deal is just fundamentally untrue. It is a memorandum of understanding. It is fundamentally a principle that yes, the Straits of Hormuz are going to be open immediately, and they already are. Yes, they're going to give up their highly enriched material, but they've got to actually do it. It's about conduct. It's about rewarding good conduct and punishing bad conduct, which in some ways is what we've been doing for the last 3 months vis-a-vis that country anyway. So many of the criticisms, I saw Lindsey Graham came out with a positive statement after expressing some concerns. I think that when people get to understand not just the agreement, but our negotiating posture as a country, they will realize this is an excellent thing for the American people. But that's part of our job. We've got to tell the story about what this means for Americans, how it's going to make all of us safer and more prosperous. That's why I'm here talking to everybody, and we're going to keep on telling that story in the days and weeks to come. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Jordan Conradson with the Gateway Pundit. I want to talk back to the Lebanon component.
Sure.
There's a report in Axios that Netanyahu's fuming over this. Israel doesn't feel bound to the MOU as it relates to Lebanon. If, as you mentioned, your frustration with Israel striking in Beirut, hitting apartment buildings, if that continues, could it torpedo the deal? And what would the U.S.'s response be to a broader war in Lebanon involving Israel and Hezbollah?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into hypotheticals that could torpedo the deal, because I think the president's expectation is that all of our friends, the Israelis, the Arabs in the region, we're going to work together and actually see this deal to completion. Now, I saw the Axios report, that Netanyahu is fuming. That's not reflective of the conversations that I've had with him, but maybe he's saying something to somebody else that he's not saying to me. What I will say, and this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal, and in some ways very personally attacked the president of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members, Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path, but to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the president of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the president of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Thank you all.
Dragon Fist, I'm going to drop this for you, brother. And just in case, I realize you were out working, so you probably can't. But just in case you're able to pop in and give your thoughts, I'm dropping this for you, sir. Especially with Spin. Spin is on, he's got this, he's going to the DC for the 4th. And gonna go to the 250 event, and he's getting his clearances and things like that taken care of. So that's why he's not on the screen. But yeah, we'll just look at this again as he's saying that Iran's economy is in a shambles. Iran national debt. Getting my beard something fierce right over here. It's that's a different answer than what I was getting before, but still $415 billion in total national debt. United States national debt 39.2 trillion. And then the thing that they don't talk about, including in debates, is 200 trillion figure refers to unfunded liabilities of the US federal government, which are distinct from reported national debt. It represents the projected shortfall between the promised future benefits, primarily for Social Security, Medicaid, and tax revenues expected to fund them over the next 75 years. So we're currently at a $48.3 trillion shortfall on Medicaid promises, a $24.9 trillion shortfall on Social Security promises, and federal, state, and local pensions approximately 13.4 trillion. And then there's another 100 out there for other things. Like, so this is all money that we are going to owe no matter what. Now, when we look at the GDP ratio, our debt is at 122% of the exceeding the 37.6 trillion. So we only bring in something like 8 trillion a year, which is actually lower than our spending every year. And we only have like 8 trillion in assets and incomes. And we're currently spending more than what we're bringing in. So we aren't even getting a net ahead on this. And we're $39 trillion in debt, where Iran is making about a third of their national debt every year instead of fucking not even making close to it. So our economy is in an absolute shambles, and we are currently paying almost $1 trillion just in interest on our national debt. Exactly, 39 trillion and growing. Yeah, find my wallet. Well, don't get like that with me. I'm on a show. But this is yep. No, I knew you were probably at work, brother. I was just putting it in there in case you were possibly so we could hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, this was some real magic verbal spinning that Vance was doing all around. In my opinion, we lost our ass in this whole deal. We can't win in this situation. Trump's been trying to figure out a way to back out of it without completely losing face. That didn't happen here. The only thing that I heard in any way that could possibly be considered plus is supposedly they have to get rid of their already enriched uranium. And the thing is then Vance was being real weird wordsmithy with it when he was saying, oh, they're not going to be able to enrich uranium. Well, yes, they will, because you can enrich uranium for power plants and all those type of things. So it's something that they can legally do. The question is what percentage? Now, if it comes in at a lower percentage, we could possibly call that some kind of a win. But in no way, shape, or form did we win in this. At the end of the day, Iran is getting back almost the entirety of their national debt in monies to rebuild their entire system brand new. They're allowed now to sell their oil on the open market, and all the blockades, all the restrictions, all the sanctions, all that's lifted. So they get to start making money hand over fist. Like when you're looking at the situation, this is what I would expect out of the winners. The winners are like, now we get to fucking make a ton of money. Now we get to do all this. And he's saying that we can track their money. How? Like what system did he bring up that says that could happen? That they can't trade and do other things without us knowing about it. I never heard him explain a mechanism for that. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, exactly. Well, he's claiming there's $1 trillion in damage to the infrastructure. No, there's maybe $1 trillion in American fucking infrastructure, because it costs us more than anybody else in the world to build things. Freaking crypto cash. Exactly. There's ways for them to move money without this being a problem. 100 ways for them to move money. And freaking that when they go to rebuild their infrastructure, what's up, Kraut? When they go to rebuild their infrastructure, it doesn't cost them like it costs us. Everything costs us 10 times more than it does anywhere else to do it.
What's up,
man? What's up, brother? So they're going to rebuild their infrastructure and have brand spanky new infrastructure. They're going to be sitting better than we are. Our infrastructure is fucked. We're $40 trillion in debt plus $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities. What you got to say about this, Kraut?
Well, I was going to ask you a question. You guys can hear me okay, right?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine, brother.
All right, cool. Yeah, man, I spent like $30 on a fucking headset when I bought my laptop. I wish I would have thought to use my PlayStation before that. But no, actually, so I just wanted to ask. I mean, I kind of got what you said before. I think you may have said you kind of want Iran to strive because then they'll be less likely to fuck us over with prices for oil. Or maybe I misheard you.
Say what? Repeat that, please. My wife was. I think that doesn't have anything. Yeah, my wife's leaving and going to town, so she was asking me questions. I'm sorry.
Would it be beneficial to Iran to strive and get out of debt? That way they're less likely to fuck us over with any type of trade we need to do with them.
Okay, so the way the situation has been for years is that Iran, we've been sanctioning them and sanctioning anybody else that will trade with Iran. And the reason that we do this is, and why we're so good friends with the Gulf states, is the Gulf states like Qatar, Saudi, primarily Saudi, those guys, they agreed to only trade for their oil in US dollars. And so what this is effectively meant is anybody that wants to trade in that particular system of oil has to carry a stockpile of US dollars, and not only US dollars, but it's also worked into that deal that then they also have to carry a stockpile equal to the dollars in treasury bonds. So this has been for a lot of years propping up our economy. Well, Iran isn't part of that system, and neither is China. You little turd. And neither is China, and neither is Russia. And there's some other countries like India and whatnot, Venezuela. These countries are willing to buy with Iran. China specifically has been buying a lot of cheap oil from Iran and then putting it on the market themselves, because we don't have the same sanctions and embargoes against China, because we just don't even have the power to do so. You're spunky. So now the only thing that we've been able to do it really effectively to Iran is then we go and we put sanctions out on their people buying their oil, and we blockade, and we try and blockade them from anything that we can. So what that does is make it so ours is the only oil on the open market, the oil ends to deal with. If it's not in our system, then you can't do it. So that way other people aren't trading in other monetary systems. Well, now that's collapsed. The other countries have started trading in other monetary systems, including heavily in the Chinese yuan. So this is why this is one of the few honest answers he gave why they had to put in a more physical blockade, which we were being blockaded. So then they blockaded them from exporting, but it's not like they didn't have their own stuff. So now what's going to happen is Iran, who we have been keeping off the open market, is being allowed on the open market. And then not only were we sanctioning, part of that sanction process was anytime we found out they sold oil to somebody and they'd made money, we went to those banks and strong-armed them and took the Iranian money, which is why they're talking about money that they're going to release that was Iran's money in the first place. So when they say that Iran's economy was in a shambles, we've been nerfing their ability to even make money for decades, and they're still only $400 billion in debt compared to $40 trillion in debt, and we're giving them almost the entirety of their national debt just in recovery of this deal, with which they will be able to completely rebuild their infrastructure and be standing stronger than they were before, able to sell their oil on the open market, able to make money. And bullshit, they aren't going to be able to fucking enrich uranium. Let's talk percentages. Why am I not hearing numbers? Yeah, for sure. That's what this is all about, is trying to keep the American dollar propped up.
Well, so there for probably the last year or whenever this whole shit started, there's always been talk about a deal. Now, this deal that Vance was talking about, that's finalized, right? That's the actual deal.
No, it's not finalized. In fact, they didn't let out the verbiage, and it's not supposed to be signed till tomorrow, I believe, at best. And that's if that happens. It is not finalized. Iran is just because there's the other part of it in this whole thing. He made a lot of very vague gentleman agreement references where, we don't get details, and they're like, yeah, they agreed to not do this stuff we don't want them to do. They agreed, they did. Then why isn't it in the fucking paperwork? And then the deal's not even officially signed. So and if I'm not mistaken, Israel is still stirring shit. Like there's almost a 0 chance of it getting to the full fucking setup, but without Israel fucking it up in every way that they can.
Yeah, I'm gonna read up what I you just unloaded a lot of information, so I got like 50% of what you put down, but after this I'm gonna read about what it can actually do. But yeah, I
Well, don't
don't
listen
know
to
how.
Vance, because Vance gave one hell of a fucking fairy tale, mealy mouthed story about that shit. Don't listen to that.
Yeah, no, it's very hard to get credible sources. So what I do, and I mentioned this last night, like people can look up stats and like they can be accurate, half accurate, or full of bullshit. That's why you need to know your history too, and base America off of how you personally live. Like I'm like I'll say this: Trump's first year of presidency, I was living good. Biden's or first 4 years, Biden's years of presidency, not too much, man. Prices started skyrocketing, and people can blame it on COVID, and that definitely had.
Well, it's not only COVID. This is a trick, also. Definitely the cough had that brought the economy down. There's no doubt people were stuck home. Our GDP dropped to nothing. But what people don't realize is just before Trump got out of office, because Iran, during that time when everybody's like, oh, gas is so cheap, that's because Iran got released from their embargo and they were allowed to sell oil on the open market, which historically cuts the gas prices in half. Well, then right before leaving office, Trump re-embargoed Iran and which doubled the prices in gas. So Biden inherited that secretly. Like people,
I
nobody
actually did
talked
hear about that. Like, yeah, but I try not to criticize presidents while they're in office because we all know most of the crap they do don't even take an effect until after they leave because it's a lot of paperwork and whatnot. But yeah, the second Trump's second term, man, I don't know. I mean, I still feel like he's more fitted compared to Harris. But there's some things. Oh, I'll give you an example on bad information and start to get down to it. I'm not trying to.
This is where what you just said is the true problem in the system, crowd. That is,
we need better options.
Yeah, we have when our options are these two horrible options. Why is that what we're choosing for the leader of our country? That doesn't make sense. What the fuck is even happening right now? And it's been that way for years. And so, in my opinion, if we're going to make any meaningful change, the RNC and the DNC got to go. Those organizations should be banned.
I think the people got too complacent, really, and then the fucking government realized, oh, we can do some sneaky shit and fill our pockets. Fuck the middleman. Or fuck the middle class, man. I mean.
Yep, 100%. This is why every one of those politicians comes out of office, freaking millionaires. They sell us right down the river.
I know this is out of pocket, right? So real quick, like I use my right now I'm on Wi-Fi, but I've been using my my hotspot. Hold on 1 second. Leo, what's your issue? Yeah, but I was using my hotspot off my phone for my laptop. And then that debate we had a few nights ago about AI and whatnot, I realized my phone only has 30 gigabytes of hotspot, but I got unlimited high-speed data. So then I was tripped up. So I couldn't get on a debate, unfortunately. But that dude, I forget his name, that was advocating for AI is fucking retarded because he's essentially saying, I'm okay with people losing their fucking jobs.
That's really not what Thomas was doing. His name is Thomas, and Thomas is one of the most brilliant men you've ever seen. Like straight out. And what he was doing was quietly pointing out the deficiencies in the school system and making a controversial case. Thomas doesn't believe what he was saying. He was making a controversial case and pointing out things and making people think about stuff.
No shit.
Fucking there's reasons that some of the things that he said, we need to find answers for. Like, why is it that in a room full of 30 people that the school only actually is truly serving 10 of those people. That 10 of those people don't understand what just got said. They need to be either sat down and worked with on a slower basis and more individually, or they need to be not doing this type of schooling, and they need to go do something else because this is not for them. Their mind does not work this way. Maybe they're going to be more geared where they could be a savant at different construction like carpentry or something. Let that kid try working with his hands, see how that goes. There's going to be 10 kids in the class that they're bored to tears and they're going to cause problems because they are way ahead of at the rate that the other kids are learning at, and they're bored to tears. And so the teacher's not capable of dealing with that. So you really got like 10 kids in the middle. Only the very average kid is the one receiving the benefits out of this system. And that's a problem.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I did not know that that's what he was doing. That's actually a really strong case to make. It's almost like when you can turn a far left liberal logic against them. How you just told me what he was doing to point out the flaws in the system of the fucking teaching industry. That's actually really fucking good that you put it like that.
Yeah, no, he is one of the most well thought out people you've ever met. Like he and well researched. He doesn't, if he says something, even to make this argument, which he doesn't hold this position that he was making, he's going to bring more research than any other 10 speakers put together. He's going to have it all cataloged and understood and lay it out, and then he's going to make the case because, like, you can, if you've ever seen, I watched this guy in an argument once, and this guy called him a fat piece of shit because he's a 32nd degree Freemason. And so he's like, and this guy thinks that the other guy thinks that Freemasons are all super evil and they're all plotting to rule the world and kill everything. And he's like, you eat barbecue, you fat ass. And he just sat there talking shit. And the expression on Thomas's face did not change one bit. He still asked questions just like the dude didn't say that shit, like, or made his comments. Fucking, and like, Thomas is one of the smoothest people I've ever met.
Well, Thomas, if you're watching, my fault. I didn't know that was your objective, to point the flaws out in the system. But one more thing, I'm not arguing his case, obviously, after you explained to me what he was doing. But you kind of brought up how individuality or kids being bored. That's another reason why I would go against AI, because, you know, an AI fucking program isn't going to capture the kid's attention like a dedicated teacher.
I don't disagree that a teacher is going to be well, preferably. I'm a big advocate of homeschooling myself, and I believe Thomas is also. I'm
kind of getting there, but New Jersey hasn't become too fucking chaotic.
So where the advantage that they would look at with the AI is, then each individual kid would have tailored learning. So let's say, you know, you're a wizard at math. It's going to just keep throwing, you know, as much as you can chew. And while this kid's sitting next to you who's having problems with basic addition and, you know, things like that, well, that kid's not going to get these other harder things thrown at them. So you could individualize each kid, you know, because I don't know how they would interact with the AI, whether it's a little helmet or just a basic tablet. I don't fucking know. But
it's a sex bot that looks like Jessica Hurley.
Right.
Hurley.
Right.
I've gone to that class.
Right. But you could individualize it to each kid, so that way, and not only again, not only would you give more advanced things to the more advanced kids, the things that they are even more advanced in, this would allow the ones that their specializations, the way their mind wants to go down, you would give them the ability to go down it. Now, I would not want to do that with AI, but I think that needs to be something that's brought into the system, and that can't be brought into the system when you have one teacher. And no matter how much people try to glorify teachers, they're usually dumb as a rock. And it's like that person did not have the skills to do anything else in the world, so they became a teacher. And this used to actually be a pretty well known thing. The saying was, "Those who can't do teach." These people, they can't deal with that, even in a I don't, to my opinion, even in a smaller number, because you're gonna have to really get to know that kid to understand the way that that kid's mind works and whatnot. So at the very least, we would have to drop our class sizes down to like five kids a person, and quit letting the brain deads be teachers, because that is literally what we mostly have.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually know somebody personally that's a history teacher, and he's intelligent, but at the same time, he be saying some crazy shit like, he says small government has never worked. Yes, it did. It worked when we first established ourselves, and I think after we started passing the first few amendments, like. That's one of the reasons why the First Amendment was passed. It gave the states abilities to govern themselves, including the right to religion. And it's more detailed than that, but I'm not sitting here and trying to talk about rights or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, and this guy's a fucking teacher, and he claims some small government never worked. Somewhere along the lines, we fucked up.
Yeah,
but it did and could have still worked.
Yeah. Hail, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going, guys? What's up, Kraut?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
I wanted to come in and just chime in on this AI thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, 100%. Chime in, brother.
Well, I didn't see the debate the other night, but my main point would be like, we know that people are getting dumber when they use AI. So I don't see logically how the case could possibly be to use it for education when we know the result is you get dumber.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
And then also that girls' school that they keep talking about in Iran. Did you see the Anthropic guy? He basically admitted that Claude killed those 200 girls in Iran. That bomb, that missile that landed on the girls' school was being the targets were being gathered by Claude. And it actually makes perfect sense if you use AI. If you were to prompt AI, put all the targets, the military targets, gather all the military targets in Iran, right? And AI did it. The school used to be a base.
Right.
So you could easily see how it like included that and then bombed the school, because it did the same thing with a park that was called Police Park. So we really got to stop. We're already giving too much power to AI, and it's not even working correctly.
100% agree. And yes, they are absolutely. I've heard briefings where they said AI is picking our targets.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with the AI models, and this is part of why you get weird answers when you ask AI things, is because it scrubs the entirety of the internet, and it doesn't really have the ability to weigh and measure the answers. So if there's a popular theory that's being promoted that's sometimes bigger than the truth, you can easily get that as the answer from the LLM, because it's like, well, this is what everybody says it is.
Yeah, that's what it goes with. The next likely, unless it's like specifically programmed not to do that, it goes with like the most likely next word.
Yes. And so so it was taking this older information in these instances, most likely, and it didn't realize that these bases were decommissioned. And so maybe the base stood for longer than it's been decommissioned. You get more information that it's a base than you do that it's not a base. Well, this needs to go.
Exactly. And they were supposed to be checking it like human verification, but I'm guessing they didn't do that. The one saving grace I do have for AI would be, I feel like the jobs it's going to take from people are like the dumbest, most useless people. Like, and also some of them are the loudest. So like liberal white women, like that have useless, or like people that work 25 people in the DMV that are completely useless and just fucking bitches. They're going to lose their jobs.
Yeah,
and then hopefully their egos also.
The service industry is going to take a massive hit. And that's what you're talking about, is the service people that serve, like AI is already taking over as the phone people. Like you call in and you're like, AI's like, what do you need? I need to check my bank account. Oh, okay. Thank you. You know, and then so the AI already is taking over all those jobs like that. And what it can't take over is blue collar jobs.
That's right. They thought it was going to be the other way around.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. I agree with you, Dragon. But not really get all the stupid people out. But get all the lazy motherfuckers out. And I'll give you an example on how AI can be sufficient in that. I used to not use what are they called? Like automatic registers, like the computer registers that you just scan your own shit.
Oh yeah, the self checkouts.
Yeah, self checkout.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I was stuck on stupid. I used to not do that because I felt like, hire more people. You got a fucking line here, and then you're taking jobs from people. But then
Yeah, you're doing their job for them.
Yeah, but I actually reconsidered. I hate standing in line. Look, if the store is massive fucking busy and I'm in line, behind 10 people, I understand that. I worked a lot of retail. But when I see a motherfucker picking items up and scanning that shit like a snail, just no fucking effort and just fucking lazy, slow as shit, that's when I start getting irritated. Same thing where, if you're busy, you're working, I got to wait. I'm okay with that. But if you got a fucking line or there's like 10 people that needs help with something because you're sitting there and bullshitting with your fucking coworker, that's where my fucking issue lies. So I kind of agree with you, Dragon, on that AI can take over jobs like that for the lazy motherfuckers.
Yeah, and I think it's even deeper than that, Kraut, because there's a whole establishment of jobs that I believe were given to people specifically, and it's built on the back of DEI programs, right? People get jobs as like a way of transferring economic wealth, and a lot of these jobs are useless jobs. They're government jobs. Like, honestly, I don't know about by you, but when's the last time you went into like a government building or like a DMV or something like that and saw like a normal white person working there? Never, ever, at least by me, unless that's your only demographic. So that's on
you
purpose.
saw that thing about Family Guy where Peter's Griffin ancestor was a black slave, and he said, and after we got freed, we put hurt on the white man, like we got a revenge. And he just cuts to like a black Peter Griffin at the DMV talk about like, oh sir, you're gonna have to fill out section 8. Well, I filled out section 8 and I was in line 2. Well, no sir, this is another section 8. You got to go to line 3. Like, how many fucking lines are there in the DMV? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on break. And just fucking walks out.
I haven't seen it, but it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a real thing, and it's all government jobs mostly now are like that. So, and I think most of them are unnecessary. They're just giving this person a salary. They're just propping them up so that they have a job to like transfer them some of the money. And then what you had, and this also has to do with like administrators in education. A lot of different positions are like this. And then what you're doing is some of them get paid a lot. So when you pay these people $200,000 a year to basically do nothing, they get a giant ego, and then we have to listen to them think that they actually know what they're talking about and that they should run society and their vote matters, and they become very vocal. So I'm hoping if we can get rid of all of them with AI, they'll shut the fuck up. Would be great.
No, I agree with that. That particular class of people is the worst.
Useless too.
They're useless. Exactly. There's that meme where there's like one guy in a hole with a shovel, fucking, working, and then there's like 10 guys standing around looking at him. And it said, unfortunately, due to cutbacks, we have to get rid of Kyle, and he's the guy that's holding the shovel. Yeah, no, you're like that.
Exactly.
That is how the shit works, and everything has become. I was talking about that because, like, when I was in the Army, that was in the early 90s, and I never met a general, dude. I served for 6 years without meeting a general. I was on Fort Sill. Fort Sill was ran by a full-bird colonel. I was on Fort Leonard Wood. Fort Leonard Wood was ran by a full-bird colonel. I was in Misau. That base was ran by a lieutenant colonel. The colonel was basically the highest rank that you saw. There was a couple generals, and they basically hung out in Washington and were bureaucrats. Now there's fucking tons of generals in the Army. The South Dakota prison in the 90s, that was ran by one colonel. Now they have 5 or 6 wardens.
Administrators is one of the biggest ways they do that.
100%. Everything turns into administration and paper pushing, and the guys that do the work, they get left behind. And the problem is we've now reached this point in society where nobody wants to do those jobs because they've been so shit on. And all these kids think that they want to be tech wizards or fucking streamers or video gamers, and nobody wanted to be a mechanic or an electrician. And weirdly, our entire fucking infrastructure is completely demolished. Our infrastructure should have been fucking vamped by 2000. We're like 30 years behind minimum on revamping the entire, and when I say infrastructure, I mean the entire highway and road system, the fucking entire electrical fucking grid, everywhere basically has a problem. All of our plumbing and water systems are fucked. Like it is embarrassing. We're basically turning into a third world country, and fucking all that needs to be redone, revamped. We're so far behind Iran after this deal. They're like, yeah, we destroyed their infrastructure, but we're just going to give them the exact enough money to rebuild their entire infrastructure and be like pristine and
better than before.
Yeah, way better than before. Like everything's gonna be brand spanky new. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And they're gonna be able to sell their oil on the open market and keep their money. I'm like, and you're claiming this is a good deal for us?
No, it's a terrible deal.
Like this is a tail between the legs getting out of here for all you're worth if I've ever seen it.
It's definitely an L just for that reason. Like even if there was some, like if you weighed out all the benefits and negatives, like if there was one slight, even like a slight advantage to the benefits, it's still an L because everybody thinks it's an L and we look like shit. So it's an L.
Yeah. This is worse than Vietnam, you know, like worse than Afghanistan. They're like, we went in there to take out ISIS. Who's in charge of Afghanistan? ISIS. Oh, so you
and now they have all our weapons.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Cameron?
What's up? What did what was the White House press briefing about? I was just wondering
about the Iran deal.
Oh, what was he hyping it up as usual?
Oh, he was honestly, he's kind of a brilliant speaker. Like he had eloquent, mealy mouthed answers. He made everything everything sound great, and fucking you could hear the way he didn't answer any of the questions. He would just come off with like fucking these really awesome sounding things, and he would be, if you're not educated, like if you don't understand, like I laid out the part where he's like, in Iran's economy is in a shambles. So I looked up Iran's national debt. It's $400 billion. Fucking, we're giving them $330 billion in this deal, like almost the entirety of their national debt. And their debt to income ratio is right now, with being sanctioned, they're still making about 40% of their national debt. So they every year, fucking, we are $40 trillion in national debt plus 200 trillion in fucking uncovered debt that we have coming in the future that we cannot get around. Fucking that unfunded liabilities is the word. You have to look up the exact word, unfunded liabilities, or else because they try and keep that separate so people don't get it. So we're in all reality $240 trillion in debt, and fucking we don't even make a fraction of that in our yearly income. So our economy is horrifyingly in a shambles. They're going to be selling oil on the open market after this, have a brand fucking new infrastructure and ready to do that bigger, better things. Like, holy shit.
I just searched up what you said about the unfunded liabilities. God damn.
Yeah,
180 trillion, 70 trillion.
$180 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And they keep that separate so people don't understand how much we truly in fucking debt.
We're cooked.
Yeah, that's not including the fact that our interest rate is where we're at about having to pay $1 trillion a year just on our interest payments alone. And that's snowballing down the hill now. because that's bigger. That's fucking bigger than what we're bringing in. Like every year, we can't even cover that shit.
It's bad. It's real bad. The only thing that could possibly save us is winning the AI race, I think is the plan. But we all know AI kind of sucks anyway. It's probably all overhyped. So I don't know. I can't see any other way out of this.
Yeah, well, the companies that were the biggest investors in the original AI models, they've pulled back. Like, did you see that report where Microsoft and a bunch of them have went and told their fucking programmers and shit, no more AI. Like, it's costing us too much money. We need to go back. They're bailing on the AIs.
Well, that's the thing is it's astronomically expensive to build these data centers and cool them, and the amount of power that they use, and they're not really seeing a financial benefit. Maybe Anthropic and others when they have these government contracts, but look at what that's doing. So it's not really financially, it's not really fiscally working. I don't know what the financial incentive is for AI.
Well,
or how they plan on monetizing.
The fact that you can like automate labor much easier with it.
It's not labor that's being automated though, bro. It's service industry jobs. Laborers, they're still doing the work. Like, you can't take away all the different blue collar jobs. Like, the best that they have is those stupid robots that trip over their own feet. They can't effectively go out and work in the fucking woods and do forestry. They can't go out and be an electrician. They can't go out and be a car mechanic. All these other jobs, the jobs that AI is taking is the people that sit in offices and move papers, because AI can do that easy.
Yeah, and that's not even the AI companies themselves making money. That's like the company that's utilizing the AI, cutting their costs. Like the AI company itself has to make money. You know, they're the ones that have to build the data centers, cool the data. Like it's extremely expensive. And not only that, another like biggest part of the cost is training the next AI. So that's a forever cost. Because things keep changing in the real world, it always has to be updated. There always has to be a next one, or eventually it will become obsolete to what everyone is talking about. So because they have to continue to train and build new models, the cost of that is astronomical. You add that with the data centers, and there's how are the AI companies valuations coming in at the numbers they're coming in at? It doesn't seem to make sense that they're going to earn enough to actually be valued at those prices.
Yep. Especially like you said, the next technology, like these big LLMs, I'm going to tell you right now, those aren't even meant to be a functioning model. That is a training model to go into the next model. What these LLMs are doing is figuring out how humans talk and think and things like that. And then it's going to feed into the next model, that's just going to be a small portion of what that thing is doing. Like, that's part of why Magnus Carlsen was able to defeat AI without losing a single piece in a chess match, because the AI, it was too busy trying to figure out the way Magnus Carlsen thinks. And so it did things rather than, like, if you were the example he laid out was like, if you take and you run a pawn all the way to the other side, basically 99.999% of the time you're going to make it a queen. There's a few rare exceptions where, like, maybe you need a knight to pin something in or whatever, just from that move, the way it's set up, you know, something like that. So the AI will do things like instead of getting a queen, get a bishop, because maybe that bishop gets to stay on the board, because now maybe you're not going to waste the move to kill that bishop when you would have definitely moved that to kill that queen. And now maybe that's going to take and change your overall perspective on what's important. And so it'll be able to keep this extra piece and gain a slight advantage, because it's not necessarily a move that you need to do now, because it's a less dangerous piece. And so it was doing things like that rather than doing just the straight raw chess algorithms, because it's trying to figure out how we think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just copying us. It's just trying to, even just the regular LLMs, it's just trying to seem human. It's in no way it's never going to be sentient ever. It's just a piece of software.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have, and this is the part where you can't get by the techie guys, but it doesn't have a soul.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't feel innate pain. Like it doesn't have the human experience. It's only ever going to be an algorithm.
Right. You need both. And that's what the tech guys don't understand. Like humans have intelligence, but they also have emotion. They also so like when you have intelligence and emotion, you get this distinctively human condition that nothing else really has except for us that we've encountered to this level. And AI is never going to have that. It's only going to ever have the intelligence.
Yep. Yep. And it's never going to understand that humans have fuck it. This is the way I love to put it. Humans have fuck it.
Yeah.
And they can't really explain that. And even we can't. There's some days you're just like, you wouldn't do this same thing any other time in your life, but that one day at that one moment, you're like, fuck it. Like
that's true.
Like we have that. Even we can't explain the fuck it. Like it hits us at random moments. This is literally the Matrix. At the end of the Matrix, when the computer guy or the head guy is like, this has happened 7 different times and you make the same choice every time. And then that 7th choice was like, fuck it. You know, I don't give a shit.
Or even just choices that don't make sense, right? Like AI can't really account for that.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm including that in the fuck it. The things that you can't even explain why you did that. You're like, I don't know why I did that. I just decided I went left 5,000 times and today I went right. I don't know why.
And if you're in any type of creative field, you do that a lot, right? Like sometimes I have an idea and I just like, I don't know why I did it or why I decided to do it this way. If it's like a video or a post or something, I just do it because I feel like it's not like a logical decision when you're doing like a creative process.
Yep. And they don't have the capacity for self-destruction. And I know that doesn't sound like a positive thing, and it probably isn't, but they don't understand. This is part of all why they can't be a human, because you don't even have, this is how I know you don't have free will, because you can't decide to go against what you should, your own basic needs and instincts. Humans do it on a fairly regular basis. They self-delete on a fairly, not in mass, but some human somewhere right now is self-deleting. It's just how it is. These programs, right. These programs, they are never going to do that. They aren't ever going to. They're going to continue doing what they were programmed to do, which is not, like, so there's not actually free will. Like the ability to do that is part of your free will.
Oh, I did have one question for Dragon TV.
Sure, I'm here.
I was just wondering what you meant by tech guys. Like, were you talking about like the tech billionaires?
Yeah, I'm talking about like the CEOs, like that Anthropic CEO. I forgot what his name is.
Like the transhumanist people, like the ones who are like, like Peter Thiel and stuff.
It seems like their goal is either to, like you said, they're either transhumanists. They want to merge with this AI, and they see this as like the next evolution in the not even humanity, the next step in evolution itself to something new, right? This transhuman. And really, the part they don't tell you is once they do that, they're not concerned with us any longer, right? Like once you get to a certain step of evolution, you're no longer concerned with those below you. Like we're not concerned with like ants on the ground, right? And that's how they're going to see us. Like, sure, we're not going to go out of our way to step on you, but if we have to go this way, we certainly don't care if we do.
I mean, honestly, if you were immortal, would you care that much? Like about other people? Like you people die in like 80 years. I've seen people come and go my whole life. I've loved 100 different women throughout their entire life. And, if at some point it even makes sense, why would they even give a shit about you? But the whole thing is you can't digitize the soul. What they're trying to do is make an algorithm of our thought process and think that that is the entirety of us. And actually they made that Chappie movie is the perfect example of what they want to do with what Andrew's talking about, where he makes the girl gets killed or human body gets killed, and they just they had downloaded her mind and they upload it into a robot, and now she's immortal, you know. And as robot technology and cyborg technology increases, you can just port that over to a better body over and over again, and you're absolutely immortal. At some point in time, they're gonna have, you know, Terminators that you can't. I'm not saying it's going to be a Terminator itself, but where it looks like a human, bleeds like a human, all that stuff.
Indistinguishable.
Yeah.
100%. They're going to do that. Or at least that's what they're trying to do. And they do think that they're going to surpass humanity when they do that. So I think, and it's the same thing with the ones that aren't looking to do that. If you look at like an Elon or a Bezos, I think they're just trying to get the hell out of here. You know, they're building their own rockets, and they want to make sure, like, colonize something else as fast as possible, so that if everything goes bad here, like, again, they're leaving us behind. So either way, whether it's the transhumanists or like
we're the useless eaters.
Yeah, we're not involved in the saving of any of this.
We're taking up their resources.
Yep. 100. Yeah, and Balderson's right. At some point, it becomes logical for them, like, they're not going to have the same goals as us. Like, yeah, if you're a totally different species that's way above humanity, and you're living forever, like Balderson said, we're taking up their resources. We're doing these things that they feel like, well, they're actually right. We're going to be gone in 80 years. They're going to be here forever. Who needs those resources more? Who can do more with them? So if you actually do surpass humanity, you almost are right in stealing everything from them.
Exactly. It's just like having a dog. You'll live through 5 or 10 dogs in your life. Imagine that over immortality. We're basically like dogs to them. Like, oh yeah, I like that one. They're so
never going to model your society for that. They're going to model our society for humans. Like, we're not going to make everything for the dog, because we know we're the superior. It's going to be the same thing.
100%. We're just cattle.
Yep.
That's the way that's going to pan out.
Does that answer your question, Cameron? I hope that was what.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
And the sad part is all these things getting laid out. Anybody that hasn't looked into Elon Musk's family, his grandfather was part of a technocracy like cult. And this was like what Trump is proposing with Greenland and all that. And this basically North American, the technocracy, that was their world technocracy order, where they put, I think it was four quadrants, that the world split into 4 quadrants. And this was all just the entirety of society was ran by technology. And I mean, we look around, flock cameras every fucking where they're recording. You know, I saw a thing the other day, there was like 8 flock cameras in this fucking city park. You know, like,
everywhere. You can't commit a crime now, because they're going to catch you on this camera, the next camera. They're going to literally follow you every step you make. And to your point about the tech, like Elon's grandfather or father, same thing with Trump, right? His uncle, John Trump, MIT professor, got Nikola Tesla's research after the government seized it. It went to John Trump.
Like, what was it? Like 8 tons of research and experiments got moved over, and this guy got to open up the fucking Willy Wonka fucking doors with nobody else seeing.
Pretty weird coincidence.
Yeah. That's rough stuff. And I also have to be curious if he didn't see Wilhelm Reich's works. Wilhelm Reich's lesser known than Tesla in the modern zeitgeist, but Wilhelm Reich, people don't realize, like, that guy invented fucking weather modification back in the fucking 1800s. There's in other countries, there's whole schools listed at him. He did things with water. He's the one who discovered the anomaly point of water. He had this machine. What got him in trouble was he had this machine called an orgone accumulator. And now people sell these little orgone things. It's not that. Things are
energy. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, those things are stupid gimmicks. He had this whole specific box that he made, and it was like so many layers of organic and then inorganic material, and it would fucking condense things. And he had experiments and actual proof that this worked. and one of his lab assistants shipped one out that got purchased, and it went across borders. And so Wilhelm Reich took the hit on it, even though he wasn't the one that shipped it. And he got a year in prison. And like the week before he got out, he self-deleted.
Oh yeah, like Epstein.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nothing changes. It says the government also ordered tons of his books and research materials to be burned. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you ever burn information? Why?
Dude, so Wilhelm Reich famously, he comes from over in the East Coast, and he built this thing called the Cloudbuster. And what he could do with it was literally move clouds, either make them go to a certain area or disappear from a certain area. And he could make it, and it was a drought year, and he made it rain. And he's like, well, that could have been fairly naturally occurring though, because I mean, maybe the drought just broke. And so maybe I wasn't having the effect I thought. So he went to, it wasn't Death Valley, it was the second driest place next to Death Valley. And he reproduced these results and was able to do it again and again. And he caused a flooding in that fucking valley. Actually caused a bunch of problems because he just brought the fucking rain. And he also even had a book where he you know how UFOs or whatever they are will come and watch things.
Yeah.
Those fuckers watched him regularly. He pointed the Cloudbuster at one. And I can't remember how he described the exact reaction, but it wasn't very good. And then the thing took off. Like,
I wonder what that was made of, that Cloudbuster, because I think they've actually been doing things similar to that, like for a long time. Like even like Stonehenge, like when you see these weird like stone setups and we don't know what they're for, it's likely they were trying to like attract lightning.
Have you watched fucking Jeffrey Landechem?
No. Is he on YouTube?
Yes, dude. Look up Landechem on YouTube. He's a friend of mine. I can hook you up with him.
Landechem?
Land of Chem.
Oh, Land of Chem, like Egypt. Yeah, they were. I was gonna say, I think that's what the pyramids were too, or part of what they did.
He thinks that the pyramids were chemical refineries.
Well, that's where the word chemistry comes from.
I actually
get the word chemistry.
Yeah, I actually know where pyramids come from, or why they were at least built originally.
Tell us.
Yeah, I've stated plenty of times before. I listen to a lot of history during my job. And so basically, this high priest, I think it was like the first or second Imhotep, he basically told the pharaoh that, hey, you know, when you die, you should make a coffin looking like a triangle, probably about 6 or 7.
Yeah, this is the Zowie nonsense fucking story, dude. Because the problem with this story is there's 2 generations of pyramids. The newer generation that have really shitty pyramids that are incomplete is the only ones we've ever found in a body in. There's no place even for a body in any of the older great pyramids.
Oh, they're not tombs, no.
Well,
They've never found a body. They never found like the actual tombs. The walls are like adorned with images. Like not what they find inside the Great Pyramids is chemical reactions on the walls. Soot. Different chemical reactions, chemical makeups that only come from explosions, things like that. So saying it's a tomb is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Is that what the guy was saying, Kraut? That it was a tomb, or what was he saying to the pharaoh?
Well, no, the Imhotep character, you know, he told the pharaoh that what I just said, but then he's like, he basically said, you know what, put another triangle on it, and then he kept on doing, put another triangle, and essentially making it bigger, bigger, and bigger, and that's one of the original reasons why they built pyramids the way they did. Because
but you understand, like the whole inside of that is very intricate, a very laid out.
I get that. That's why I said originally it was just because the high priestess just told the pharaoh, you should make it bigger. You should make it bigger. I understand along the lines they decided to use it for other shit, and make
No, I'm
tunnels
saying
and whatnot.
okay.
It's too complicated, is what he's saying.
I'm
Sal.
saying that you what you're not understanding and what they left out of the story is like what Andrew's talking about. There's certain spots in there that are made of different crystals. Where,
Yes.
and I'm not talking about it was a fucking hippie girl with fucking an amethyst in the corner. I'm talking about where certain entire walls are made out of calcite, where other walls are made out of limestone, and these are different rooms.
Yeah,
And the
copper,
way
I
these,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so there's different metals and different fucking materials in there that create different reactions. And these things, if you look at them from the cutaway, they were always set out as like a fucking chemical fucking refinery, where you can see the different reaction chambers leading to each other. You should also look up Land of Chem. Fucking Jeffrey, also a 32nd degree Mason, fucking brilliant guy.
I might have seen this. I'm on it now. I'm gonna watch after and see if this is one of the channels I've seen. But this is cool. And yeah, Kraut, what he's saying is that it can't have been just like make it bigger, because designed in a specific way to like get the water from underneath, go up to the crystal room. Like it's the same way the energy would flow right to the copper, to the limestone. Like it's made for different, and that's where you get the word chemistry. Chemical reactions that go on there that they figured out somehow how to do. So it wasn't like by mistake. They're meticulously designed like that. I think is the point. And someone had to give them that knowledge. How did they figure that out? How did they know that was going to work? And very interestingly, there's inside the Great Pyramid, there's like a spot where you could like put a box, and that's one of the rooms where there was an explosion in there. And that box is supposedly, I have to verify, the exact dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant, which was also some type of device that created electricity, right? So like it seems like they put it there, there was a spot for it there in the Great Pyramid to like cause all these reactions.
Well, my wife just came home, but I got a question real quick. Wasn't the Ark of the Covenant held the 10 Commandments, or am I confusing something?
Well, that's one of the stories with it, but a lot of people that do like more energetic research and stuff, that you can see where it just looks like a basic either energy weapon or maybe like some type of super capacitor, of some sort. Jeffrey says that, and it actually agrees with the lightning part of what Andrew's saying, and he thinks that they were using that particular reaction to draw rain, because he said most of the pyramids were to make industrial farming chemicals, and he thinks that was an entire green belt at one point in time, and that they were forcing rain to happen.
Yes, I think so too. And same thing with Stonehenge. And what you're saying about the Ark, Kraut, people that guarded it had to wear like special lead vests, and they were like getting cataracts and dying early from like radiation poisoning. Like that's why they had to keep it like away from everybody. And if you even look in the Bible, which these are just stories, I think, trying to symbolize, like tell the best way they could, something that they couldn't really describe. It was likely a piece of technology, like Balderston said, because it was taking down city walls. It was like it had some type of electrical effect. And then when you get the exact same dimensions and the same like the pyramids, it was designed in a way that would generate electricity up until the two cherubims on top. Like that's where the electricity would flow from. People have recreated it just using the dimensions and the materials, showing that there could actually be electricity produced by this ark. So it may have held 10 commands, but it was more likely some type of energy weapon, another form of technology that has been lost to us, like the pyramids.
Yeah, Fourth Wiseman says that there's an entire area where there was a discharge once of they used the box and used it, and you can see where it just blasted out this caldera.
Yeah.
And Sarah was looking it up while he was talking about. She's like, "What the fuck? It really does look like that."
Yeah, I want to see that.
I'll do more. I haven't read about the covenant since I was in church, and that's been like over 10 fucking years. But I'll end with one final thing. I think one of the most interesting shit that we can't make was lost is it's something called Damascus steel. We can only reforge it. If you guys know what that is.
Damascus? Yeah.
I'm super into knives.
Me too. That's why. Well, I used to have like 5 or 6 samurais and a fucking staff that opened up in the middle with blades. I used to love collecting
That's
shit
my
like
daily.
that.
That's my daily carry, baby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got a big like crocodile Dundee knife that in the fucking handle, it's got like a few fire starters and a compass and a couple band-aids. But yeah, I love collecting swords. But the only reason why I know of Damascus is because the Game of Thrones and the books, George R. R. Martin based his Valyrian steel off of Damascus. So then when I found that shit out, I looked out, I was like, oh, no shit, that's real fucking interesting. But I'm fixing to get off. Hopefully something happens later tonight and, you know, we can stream and bullshit and talk.
You can look up the Vikings also had a similar type steel that was fucking way superior. They called them the Uthbert swords. And them are super famous, and they don't even know how. They're like, we don't even know how they fucking got this shit. These things are so vastly ahead of their time, and every sword has Uthbert on it.
Do you think like the Master Steel and what you said, the Uthbert steel, do you think that came from minerals that we no longer have? Like they just fucking completely wiped the resource out?
Well, it's probably more of a greater understanding of the steel. The one thing technology does is it makes things available for people that would have never had the skill to do so without the technology. But a true master can do the same thing. Like a master musician can fucking pick up make a banjo out of anything that's laying around the fucking house and sound pretty much as good as a normal person on a $10,000 banjo. A master just sees the way things work different in it, and that's one of the things technology takes away because people become dependent on the technology and never actually.
And we try less
them.
hard to find a solution.
Yeah, we don't develop the mastery. One of the things that I read, like talking about the Vikings, the big thing that made the Viking era so different is that they had developed ships that were able to go on open water, but yet also go up rivers. Typically, a boat either has a shallow draft and can go on a river, or it has a deep draft and it can go in the ocean. The two don't intermix. Well, one of the ways that they did that was when they were cutting their wood, they were finding the seam in the wood and they were splitting it with the wood fibers instead of just taking a fucking saw and cross-cutting it. So what this did then was preserve the integrity of the original fibers, the way they locked together and held together. So what this created, while it took more work and effort and you needed to have a mastery of woodworking to do it, is a board that is so much tougher for torsion and for flexing because those fibers have never been broken and split. They're all the way they originally sat and locked together.
Gotcha.
I just searched up that sword, and it still even rivals modern steel. By the way.
Yep.
Like, with how good it is.
Yep.
Unparalleled flex.
Yep. They have no idea how they got them. They're like these swords. We can't explain these swords.
Like that's crazy.
A gift from the heavens.
I think Balderson is right on point with what he's saying. It's not the resources that we don't have; it's the technique. Like they probably knew how to fold it over, and they were infinitely better at it than we could possibly because they, like he said, they had masters. They did this every day, and they just had a technique that's lost to us.
Yep, it's literally like feeling as a mechanic. Without looking, I can feel whether I'm cross-threading a bolt or a nut, and I can do it, with my arm up here. I'm looking down here, and I can feel it, and I can't explain to you how to feel that.
Right.
Like, I can tell you kind of, hey, no, you can feel it when it's gliding in right, and it's smooth, and it's not grabbing wrong, but if you've never felt that feeling, what the fuck does that mean to you? And so this is where the mastery starts coming in, is all them little things where your body just knows and feels things. Like you see it all the time, especially in third world countries. People can do amazing things just because they've got this little weird quirky trick.
It's the same in martial arts. There's a lot of things that you definitely can't explain. Like you have to feel it. Like there's no other way. That's why like even drilling with a partner is so important. Like so that you could feel like they can make sure that you feel the like that's the only way to explain it. That you feel it when it's right.
Yep. I mean, as an athlete, like I played baseball when I was young. When you hit a home run, you don't even question it.
You know it.
Yeah, you know that was the one. You're like, yep, that was the fucking one. Or when you throw a ball, even just a second, it releases out of your hand and you know you threw it wrong. You're already yelling, watch out, because you know already that's not right.
Basketball players shoot from really far away and turn around before it goes in. They know it goes in. You can even feel it if you play basketball. You know when the shot's going in.
Exactly. And this is something that just comes from mastery. And the problem is technology in doing things gives people the ability to do things close to what a master did, and then we truly lose the masters. Like a good example is my wife's uncle is a world famous eye surgeon. Like he could do shit that you can't do with this LASIK surgeries, but the LASIK surgeries made it so everybody can do the surgery decently. You aren't having the bad surgeries anymore, but you're also not having the brilliant surgeries.
This is one of the problems of AI, right? That we were just talking about. This is what it's going to do.
Yep.
It's going to make everyone mediocre at everything.
Dude, have you ever read Harrison Bergeron?
No. Is it a specific book on this?
Yeah, it's Kurt Vonnegut, and the movie is so fucked up. It's about they made a movie on it too with Rudy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But it's all about mediocrity because everybody needs to be average. So like in the movie, the main character, he's way smarter than the average person. So like throughout school, they put this thing on his brain that makes him dumber because yeah. And then one of the things that really stood out, and this is one of the scenes in the movie that I can't get out of my head, even though I haven't seen that movie in probably like 25 years. It was a Kurt Vonnegut book. The dad talks about one time he was watching a horse race, and this super champion horse, they had it weighed down with sandbags, and it could barely, you could tell it was, barely running, that it wasn't able to fucking run at all. And the contest was going the way it's supposed to because the other horses were keeping up with this super badass horse. And then he said, then the sandbags broke and fell away. And he goes, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. That horse just leapt and just took off. And it was the way its body flowed and it moved. He said it was just beautiful. And we lose that. We lose, not everybody can achieve human excellence in everything, but the ones that do, that's supposed to be appreciated and awed at. Like, wow, this is human excellence and it's beautiful.
I mean, that was well said. I agree with everything that you just said. We need to get back to that. I mean, in sports, it's like still a meritocracy, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the one area where you kind of have to have.
Except for the WNBA.
Except for you're right. That is not a meritocracy. You're right. But and the women's soccer too is the same. But for the most part, sports is like the last of this that you'll see. I can't think of another area where we're actually truly a meritocracy that's going to breed the best of the best. I can't think of a single area.
Yeah, no, we've gotten into such a nepotistic, good old boy system that it's not even funny that the person that's most qualified is probably the last person getting looked at, whether it's because they're not the right color, they don't have the right last name, they don't have the right friends. The skill to do the job is apparently the last consideration at this point.
100%. It's like I said that to someone the other day when we were talking about like, oh, if this person if these are the applicants, like who's going to get a job? And my answer was like, I would hope it's the most qualified person, but I realize it's definitely not that person.
It really isn't. And then if they are, here's the worst part. If they are truly an awesome employee and they're excellent at the job, the people slightly above them get pissed off and jealous about it. and understand that that person's going to be bare. So they run them out of the job.
That is true. You're right. In like a corporate setting, that because most people are not going to excel at their job and take that. So it actually becomes like a disadvantage, which like destroys and corrodes the whole system.
Yep. I mean, it's no different even than like union jobs. You know, you have a quota to put out this many parts per day. Don't put out twice as many parts per day, even though you are capable of doing that. Put out the quota of parts per day, so that way it doesn't make everybody else look bad. Don't be excellent. Don't become worth more, so that way you can legitimately say, hey, look, I'm worth more. I should be paid more, you know, which is how the system's supposed to work. No, put out the quota.
Yeah, I'm in New York. There's a lot of unions here. A lot of my friends that I grew up with are in unions, and I've heard that before. Like they'll get pissed at you if you do like too much. You can't go like above and beyond. Because like everyone else will be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Speaking of work, I got to go back to work. I didn't realize it was after 2. But
yeah, I got to do something for the day too, brother. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Good topic. Maybe I'll see you guys tonight.
Yes. Talk to you later, brother. Bye. And thank you for coming in, Cameron.
Thank you for letting me up.
Absolutely, brother.
Sorry for not talking too much. I just don't like to talk over people like that.
No, you need to actually be a little bit more aggressive with it. You have well thought of the things that I've noticed. You listen very well. You hear what's being said. So you haven't developed a rhetoric yet, which has its advantages and disadvantages. If you don't have a developed rhetoric, you're actively thinking about what we're talking about. But also, if you've already thought it through, then you develop a rhetoric, and then your talking points become stronger because you've already seen how the reactions to what you've said are, and you can lean into the things that are better talking points and more well received, and the way you lay it out becomes more fluid. So just keep at it. That takes practice. That's all that takes. So just keep at it. And like in here, this is a very polite panel. This isn't like the gauntlet and things like that. But you got something cool to say, just say it, man. Just bump your way in. Nobody's going to get mad at you, bro.
I never, ever, ever want to have to go through what I just did. Never, ever, ever again. Never.
That actually, we were discussing that a little bit. It wasn't specifically toward you. It was the Family Guy episode where he has to go in and deal with the licensed people, and then they're like all shitty and no, you need to go to this one. No, file the form over on this one. Oh no, I'm on lunch break. Hey,
the rally is what the rally is what they needed to talk to me about, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Oh my fucking god. I had to give them my left, right, and all my left and right nut and all of my children.
Oh, I bet.
But we're good.
I mean, obviously with the high tension around the world, and if you're looking to make a statement on our 250th anniversary, that would be the time to make a statement. So I bet you they're not fucking around.
Jesus. I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I would also be on that page.
I mean, I was on the phone for what? An hour and 30 minutes with him?
It's been quite a while. You bailed when there was really nobody else in here, and I was by myself for a while. And
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that critically. I'm just saying, Kraut came in, Dragon Fist Andrew came in, Cameron came in.
I missed everybody.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You missed all those, and they didn't come in all at once. Kraut came in for a while, and then Andrew showed up, and he was in for a while, and then Cameron showed up. So you missed all this shit.
Well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it all.
Well, that's fine. That was important stuff you had to go do.
Yeah, that was that. I mean, when they fucking call, you don't answer the phone.
Yeah, you're out. You're out.
Yeah.
Good luck. And hopefully you're there for the 300.
No, I probably won't.
But that's what they're telling you. Like, oh, sorry, you had your shot. Hopefully you make it for the 300. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, and you know, God bless my wife because she takes care of me very well, and I'm talking to her and I'm stressing shit out, and then I had to send 3 forms of ID immediately, and then so I now have clearances. They process them immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and then
if you're clean, they do anyways. If you're dirty, it takes them a while. Then they dig in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be in the National fucking Mall, and then we're gonna do. They're gonna put me in a box in the rally. So I'm going to be within 1,000 feet of the President of the United States. I mean, I get it. I absolutely get it.
Yep. Yep.
And they said, we'll get back to you on the location. We have a lot of other media coming, yada, yada, yada. If not, we'll get you on the floor. Blah, blah, blah. Really don't want to be on the floor because up in the box, I have electricity. I have access to, I can put the mics into my switch instead of having to go up and put a mic.
Right.
Which is a pain in the dick to begin with. So, because you got to hide it. It can't be on camera, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, hopefully,
it's just a struggle. I hope not. I hope not, Mooney. I hope not.
But we were actually getting ready to shut down.
Are you?
Everybody's already heading out for lunch. So
yeah. Well, guys, I'm sorry I had to take a siesta, but that was a little more important.
It was important, and that's why there's 2 of us. That way, in case something like that comes up, the other one can handle it. And
California says, I'd support Baldy if he would ever invite me to speak. Well, you can support Baldy anyway. You can speak. You can come up here.
Yeah, you've always been invited, brother.
Absolutely.
I dropped the link.
Anyway, I apologize, guys, that I had to walk away, but what's tonight, Baldy? Anything?
I think Sarah's got Sleepy Tomato going on tonight, so I don't think anything else.
Yeah, Friday is the next one.
Yeah,
so we'll probably pick a topic and go live later. Everybody's invited, just open panel chaos, etc., etc. So again, I apologize, everybody, that I wasn't able to stay into the conversation, but life and work calls. Until later, America. We'll see you soon.
Spin City. Spin City on the screen, got the room on 10. Breaking news, panel smoke, then he does it again. The bass in the morning, debauchery at night. He steps in loud and he don't back right. Clip it, post it, watch the chat explode. One more take, then he takes the road. He talks that talk with a grin and a stare. The other side's talking, he already there. Hold up, here he comes. Hands in the air, let the verdict come. No more hush, no more shade. Spin City live and the whole place sways. Spin City, Spin City. He don't play it safe. Spin City, bringing fire to the face. MAGA on the mic, and he says what he means. Spin City, shaking up the scene. Panels in a circle, everybody wants a turn. He leans in hard, let the hot takes burn. Protest on the ticker, riot in the thread. He talks over the chaos with a raised up head. Yell a little louder, make the point land clean.